What is up, everybody? This is Phil, the Kaiju King, for my collection room in Greater Cincinnati. And in this video, I'm going to reveal my X Plus figure of the year and then my collection figure of the year. Two different figures. X Plus figure of the year, and my collection figure of the year is not a X Plus figure, but I'm going to reveal all right here. These two are the two of the six in the opening. The reason they are here is I whittled it down to these two. There's nothing wrong with the Sakai 95. It's a fantastic figure. Great figure. I noticed some people have done the closed mouth to it. Mark Sing Yang posted recently about the closed mouth. It's a great figure. I like it as it is, but I whittled it down and I had to exclude him. And Ghidorah, another great figure. It's Monster Zero all the way. The definitive Ghidorah as far as I'm concerned, but I went ahead and cut him from the list as well. Of course, the Gigantic 89 is a great release this year. There's so many great releases this year. Very hard to decide. It was a great release. I love the jaw option they put on it, way better than the 64 Gigantic. They really improved that process there. But I shrunk him off. And then the Gigantic 2019, my issue with it was the tail. Mine's defective or something. I can't quite get it to go flush. I've tried several times and I'm just tired of wrestling it. It's on there, but it doesn't go flush around the top by the dorsal plates. It doesn't go all the way up flush, and I can't figure out what the problem is. So that one is great, except for they could have done something better with the tail, I think. I don't know what, but something. And the final one was, I think that was all of them, I think. Yeah, that was all of them. Those four, I whittled it down to these two. These two are my favorite releases of the year as far as just overall suit accuracy and stuff and everything. Baragon is a heavy underdog in this whole fight, I know. This is a popular, this Sakai 02, of course. They're both great. All six of them on my list was great, really, but I had to get it down to at least a few, so I got it down to these two. I've been leaning the whole time with these two heavy about the whole figure of the year deal, and I feel like they should do maybe they should split it up into 30 centimeter figure of the year and then 25, and then like I posted today, they should do the D4 reel. I think they should have their own figure of the year for the D4 reels because they're kind of a thing of their own. But these are both 30 centimeter, and I had both Gigantics in the running. I mean, they can't really do a Gigantic figure of the year because we only get like 2 a year. But I guess they could, because that would make it more heated. Because you'd only have really probably a couple choices every year. Like next year, we're probably going to get the Mechagodzilla Gigantic, and then we will probably get, in my estimation, a Gigantic Kong maybe to go with the Gigantic 19. But who knows for sure? But that's just my guess. If we're getting 2 next year, I'm guessing it'll be a Gigantic Legendary Kong to go with the Gigantic 19, which would be pretty cool. But we lop everything in from the 30s to the 25s to the Gigantics. We put them all in one pot, and it's pretty rough. I mean, we had some great 25s come out this year as well. We had the 25 centimeter 2000, the 25 centimeter 64B suit. Those were 2 great figures too. They just didn't make onto my list. My list was those 6, and that's been my list. It was 5 until the Gigantic 19 came out, and he was in serious contention, but the tail thing was a fail for me from them. I know I wasn't the only one that had issues with the tail. I know several people posted about the tail was not an easy thing to deal with, so that to me, that disqualified the figure. Shouldn't be that hard to put a tail on. I mean, I think, yeah, this Sakai 02 30 centimeter is 2 tail sections, and it was easy peasy to put on. It was not hard at all. The hardest tail I've ever dealt with was that gigantic 19, so that's just the way I feel. That's why he didn't make it past into my top couple here, because it was in serious consideration, and if I wouldn't had such issues with the tail, it probably would have replaced the Sakai 02, but nonetheless, here's these two are. They're really great figures, really awesome figures, and it's very hard to decide on which one. I been deliberating it on quite a bit, but I've been very vocal about this situation, and my X Plus figure of the year is Baragon. I know he's not going to win. I know it's underdog, but this thing is perfect, but so is that Sakai. I mean, I can't really alter figures anyway because I just don't have that skill, but to me, there's nothing to alter with the figure. It's perfect. It depicts, the Sakai 02 depicts the beginning scene, in my opinion, when he's the first time when he comes in ashore in the dark and the rain and the storm, and it perfectly depicts that. But this perfectly depicts Baragon, his presence and his stature throughout the film. It's just, when I got this figure, I was really shocked at first, but then when I watched the movie and I held the figure in my hand, I was like, holy crap, this is exactly like the film. It's exactly like the suit. It's got everything that you would think for a Showa era suit, the suit wrinkling and everything. It's just the detail on it is insane. I literally can't find anything wrong with this figure. Neither could I the Sakai. Any of the 6 really were really great, but this one is far and beyond anything I expected as far as Baragon, because I didn't have one in my collection until this one, and this is probably my favorite enemy of Gamera, and probably my favorite Gamera film of the Showa era. This and followed closely by Gauss the next year to 67, because Baragon was in 66 and then Gauss was 67. But this figure is very underrated. I would highly recommend this figure to people that, especially if you're a Gamera fan, but I've been sticking to my guns on this since this came out. It blew me away, the detail of this figure, and he's perfectly sized for 30 centimeter. He goes great with the 30 centimeter Gamera 67. It's just perfectly done. And I've been sticking to my guns with it ever since I got it. It really blew me away once I really started getting into the figure, and when I held the figure while I was watching the film, and I was pausing the film and looking at Baragon and then taking a look at this figure, and like the teeth sculpting is perfect. The teeth alignment, the way they're aligned, and it's just, they really captured everything about him. And it's just a masterpiece of a figure, and I'm going to stick to my guns, and this is my figure of the year for this year. And I know he will not win, but that's okay. I'm totally fine with it. It's still a great figure, and if you enjoy this movie and enjoy the Gamera series, you are doing yourself a discredit if you don't try to get this figure in your collection, because it is really a great figure. All right, this is my X Plus figure of the year for this year, Now we will talk about my collection figure of the year, which is not an X Plus figure. And I got 2 runners up, and then I will reveal my collection figure of the year. And let's take a quick look at those right now. All right, everybody, I'm back. This is my collection figure of the year, second runner up. My collection, which includes customs and X Plus, mostly. This is my custom gigantic Godzilla 1984, holding the reactor core, made by Mark Sang-Yang. It's a fantastic figure. I love this thing. It's great. Really captures the look of the 84. As you can see on his face, very stern, not very happy look on his face. Mark captured that very well with this sculpture. And this is my second runner-up for my collection, overall collection figure of the year. We will go ahead and look at the first runner-up, and let's do that right now. All right, everybody, I'm back. Here is my first runner-up for my collection figure of the year. This is my gigantic Godzilla 1968. I'm sorry, 68, I love you. I love this suit, but there's one figure I got this year that just barely surpassed you. But this is a very excellent, well done figure by Mark. Again, Mark Sang-Yang, custom sculpt. Portrays and depicts the 68 very well. How he has his, the 68 always had his little thumb kind of up in his hand like this. And Mark did that well on the hand here, as you can see. He really captures the essence and the style and attitude of the 68 with this here sculpt. It's a fine figure, and I love this suit dearly, but he got edged out overall in my collection, because I'm kind of separating X Plus from, I'm kind of keeping X Plus separate on this here deal, but Baragon is kind of tied with my collection figure of the year, I'm going to say, in a way. It's hard to pick Baragon over this other piece, so, but Baragon is my X Plus figure of the year, clearly. But then this other figure is overall in my collection figure of the year for my collection. But this is the first runner up as far as my collection goes. Great sculpt from Mark. I love this piece. I love this suit. He just got barely edged out. And let's find out what is my overall collection figure of the year for 2019. Let's do that right now. All right, everybody, and here it is. My collection figure of the year. The Prime One Studios Gamera 1999. This is the standard edition, which is all vinyl. This is the heaviest figure in my collection by far. I swear it weighs like 40 pounds. It feels like it anyway. But this thing is a beast. It is a big old beautiful beast. The details on it are stunning, to say the least. And it's hard to deny the awesomeness of this figure. I know Leslie Chambers has it. He did a video on it. I would be interested to see what Leslie picks for his collection figure of the year, because I know this Gamera has to be in running for it. The detail, just the wound on his abdomen, and then the wound goes through to his shell on the back. Just the details of this whole figure overall are stunningly good. It's a solid chunk of vinyl. You can tell that by the weight, but it's a really excellent rendition of Gamera, and Prime One really did themselves proud on this figure. And it's just very hard to deny the awesomeness of this figure overall. That's why he is my collection figure of the year. I mean, you can, if you just seen this thing in person, really, you would be like, oh my God. Just, I mean, look at his shell. Look at the back of his shell, the detail and depth in the shell and the textures and stuff. Same with his skin texturing and the detail of the scales on his hands and just everything, the wrinkles in his neck. It's just from head to toe, from the back of his tail to the tip of his head. It's just probably one of the greatest things I've bought in my collection so far. The Prime One Studios Gamera 1999 is my 2019 overall collection figure of the year. Let's bring back my X Plus figure of the year with Gamera, and I'll have some closing comments right now. All right, everybody, I'm back, and here are my two selections. X Plus figure of the year, and overall of my collection, because I have other than X Plus in my collection. My overall collection figure of the year for 2019 is Gamera. He is above and beyond every other figure I bought this year, just my opinion. If you've seen and had this thing in your collection, it's easy to understand why. I know Leslie Chambers has him, Eric Henry has him, Christopher Fielding has him. I know there's some more, but this thing is a breathtaking work of art and a great addition to a Gamera collection for sure. I'm very glad I got this thing and pre-ordered it, and I'm just glad I managed to get it. It's a great piece. Baragon nips out the Sakai 02 for my X Plus figure of the year, but Gamera takes the cake for my collection as a whole. Just stunning figure. Both of these, high praise. All my figures I've talked about here today, I highly praise. All 6 X Plus contenders. I congratulate X Plus for a great year in 2019, and I hope the 2020 is just as good. I think it will be, with the impending Mechagodzilla Gigantic 74 and the Sakai 84 coming out early in the year. Should be make for an interesting year in X Plus again, hopefully, and we'll have another competitive year. I will bring the camera closer momentarily to show these guys off and do a tribute close to these two in my closing video. I want to thank everyone who always supports my channel. You can comment below what's your X Plus figure of the year or your collection figure of the year. If you have a figure that's not X Plus that you bought this year and you love it more than any other figure, let me know what it is. But like, here's my example. My figure of the year for my collection is not X Plus. It is this Gamera. But if like I said, I'm interested to see what Leslie Chambers, where he puts this Gamera, because I'm sorry, it took the cake over all the X Plus figures. It just, for me, it did. So for this year. But everybody wants to comment, like the video, and let me know what your figure of the year is in the comments. And this is Phil, the Kaiju King, from my collection room in Greater Cincinnati. Congratulations to Gamera. Congratulations to Baragon, the big underdog in the X Plus group. And I will talk to you all again down the road.